Okay, so the first topic we'll be going to cover is we'll talk about interfaces. Okay, the second thing we'll talk about is what? We'll talk about arrays, and the third thing we'll talk about is patterns. So once we have done with this, that will be the end of the session. Okay, so let's start with the first one, which is interfaces. So I hope everyone remember interface, right? So this is just a revision session for that. Okay, so let me get a new file. We'll use this package which is com.extra. So let me explain interface with a different example now. Okay, so let me get a class and we'll name this class as card. Okay, may not be card, but they'll say this is a bank, not band, but it's bank service. So we have a class here which is called as band service. Okay, and in this class we'll be having a main function. So we got this class which is bank service, and it's here. So what we want here is we want to create a ATM service. So let's say if a customer comes to you and say I want an ATM card, then of course you have to provide an object of ATM card, right? So that's how this OOPS concept works. So what we'll do is we'll create a ATM card. So we'll say card obj equal to new card, right? But then hold on, there's a problem here. Have we created this object earlier, or we have created this class? This is a new class, right? Yeah. So the problem is it's a very new class, and we have not created this. So just say create class card. Eclipse is so efficient; it will give you the suggestions here. So if you click on create class card, and the class name is card itself, let's click on finish. So what this card will have is it will have so a card can have three features, right? So like you can take an ATM card, you can take a debit card, you can take a credit card, right? All three will have a different feature. Example, ATM card works in ATM, debit card works, and credit card and debit card you can use it as in the shopping mall, right? So nowadays we get the combined card. We get when you get an ATM card, when you get a debit card, you also get an ATM card, right? But that's not the case with ATM card. When you get an ATM card, you only get the ATM card, right? So when you take a ATM card, you will only get ATM card. But when you take debit card, you will get both ATM and debit. When you take credit card, I'm not sure if you get ATM in that. But let's say this card has three features. The first feature this card has is, let's say, ATM, right? So whenever you have an object of card, you can actually call this method called as ATM, and we can say, okay, this is ATM. Okay, then we can have second one, which is public void. The next service will be debit, right? And we'll say this is debit. We got two services, and let's go for the third one, which is credit, right? So we'll say public void credit, and we'll say system.out.println, and this will be credit. Sounds good, right? So we have these three methods here. Now in this bank service, we got the object of card, and we can simply call all the methods, right? We can say obj.debit, and we can say obj.credit, right? So we got three methods, and if I run this code, we're getting the output as we got all the three executions, right? So everyone good with this, right? There's no problem with that. Okay, so let me just go to the card class, and everything seems good. But let's say if you got a customer who just want ATM card. I mean, he don't want debit card and credit card. And if you provide this object of obj, and he can access everything, right? So let's say if Ravi goes to a bank and says I want an ATM card, and bank says okay, you want an ATM card, but the problem is we have a class called as card which has all the features. And you will get a card with all the features, but Ravi says okay, I don't want all the features, I just want ATM service. Bank says okay, take this card, and bank says you can use this card as a debit card, but don't use it, use it only as a ATM card. But Ravi, can you control your emotions? Of course not, right? If you got a debit card and credit card, why you will control your emotions, right? Of course you will use all the features. Then how can a bank restrict this thing? because bank only wants to provide ATM service, they don't want to provide the debit card service. So what bank can do is, what options do you have? Okay, using interface, but what this interface will do? Let's try it out. Let's try that. What if we can just create an interface of only ATM? So we got this interface which is ATM, and in this interface ATM we just got one method which is void ATM. Okay, we don't have any other method, and this class card will implement ATM, right? And in this bank, what we can do is we can say, instead of creating the reference of a class, we can create a reference of an interface. And you can see, as soon as you create a reference of interface, you cannot call remaining two methods, right? So that means we cannot call that. So once you create an object of, if you create a reference of interface, you can only access those methods. Yes, this ATM is the method of ATM and this interface. Sounds good? Now let's say if a person comes and he says, okay, I want a debit card. But debit card by default will have ATM feature, right? I mean, debit card will have by default ATM. I mean, if you get a debit card, you can call two methods, ATM method and debit method, right? Now how to achieve that? We can simply create one more interface. We'll name this interface as debit, okay? And in this debit, we can have two methods. We can say public, not public, we don't require public, right? Because by default, all the method interface are public abstract. So we can simply say void debit. And since it also provides the features of ATM, we'll say void ATM. So it can have two features. And let's say if Sarang comes and say, I want a card which has two features. So bank will provide a ATM card, not a debit. Bank will provide a debit card which will have two features. And you can see we are creating the reference of a interface and the object of a class, right? But hold on, we are getting an error. Anyone, can you guess that what the error is? Exactly, so this card needs to implement that interface. But hold on, can we achieve multiple inheritance using interfaces? I mean, can we do that? We can, right? So we can just say comma and debit. That's much possible. And in this, you can see there's no error now. I can simply say obj1.atm and obj1.debit. And now if I run this, so this is ATM for Ravi and this is ATM debit for Sarang. And let's say if there's one more person who want only credit card, and we can also do that, right? There's no harm in that. I mean, can we do that? Everyone? Can we create one more interface, credit, and this card can implement three interfaces? And that's much possible, right? Okay, that's awesome. But now let's say, say this debit interface. In this debit interface, we have a method which is ATM, right? Which is declared. And in ATM also we have ATM. So we have two statements which are similar, which are same in two different interfaces. And we know the concept of inheritance, right? When you have something in one thing, why to create in another thing? We can just use it, right? I mean, can we use it? Can we say debit extends ATM? Is it possible? And the answer is yes. We can extend an interface from an interface. Okay, so when it comes to class, so class implements interface, but when it comes to interface and interface, it is only extends. Makes sense, right, everyone? Okay, that's good. So we got ATM and we got debit. So let's run this. Let's see if it is working or not. And it's working. You can see we got ATM for Ravi and ATM and debit for Sarang. But there's a question here. In debit we have, how many methods we have in debit now? two, right? We have two methods. One is coming from ATM, right? Yeah. And this card implements two interfaces. One is ATM, second is debit. Why we are implementing ATM here is just because we want to access this ATM method. What if I remove this? Will it work? I mean, will this bank service work? And you can see there is no error. It is working. We don't even have to implement ATM is because since we are implementing debit, it means that we are also implementing ATM. Because since we are implementing debit and debit extends ATM, so we are indirectly implementing ATM. And why there will be any difference, Prasad? See, we are implementing debit, right? And debit extends ATM. There's no difference. It's almost same now. Now ATM, we can also create the reference of ATM and card and the object of card, even if your card doesn't implement anything. I mean, doesn't implement ATM. Yes, there are two ways of doing the same thing. And if you run this, we are still getting the output. Makes sense, right? Okay. Now what else? So this is how we can use interface. Let me give one more example for this. Okay. So let's say in this card class we have one more method which is public void show. This show will print okay, there's a question from Amit. Can interface extend more than one? Yes, we can do that. We can extend multiple interfaces. Example, let's say ATM is one of the interface and one more is serializable, which is inbuilt interface. We can do that. There's no harm in that. We can extend. So one interface can extend multiple interfaces. Okay, so let me just go for one more method here. So in this card class, we have one more method which is show. Okay, and this show, what it prints is it prints the bank name. So this ATM, credit, debit, they belongs to a bank, right? So it will simply print the bank name. And let's say if I have a bank name as okay, let's not take this example. So everyone got this idea about this example, right? Let me go for one more simple example to demonstrate the use of interfaces. I'm just providing different use cases where to use interfaces. Everyone good with that, right? Okay, just hold on. Okay, so let me go for one more example here. And what example should I take? Okay, let me just say a class. Again, a typical example here. Before getting a class, let me create an interface, and we'll name this interface as. Oh, let me just get a class itself. Let's say I'm creating a class called as cat. Yes, we can restrict the access to the members using interfaces also. So that's one of the use cases. Okay, so let me say this is not interface, this is a class, and we'll say sound. Let's see. So what type of sound cat makes? Anyone, can you just give me a sound? What type of? We'll say meow, meow, right? So it's a meow, meow. That's weird, right? Yeah, meow. Yeah, so we have a sound from cat which is meow, and then let's say we have dog. Okay, and we'll say dog. So what type of sound dog makes? Woof. Okay. Sarang, that was very typical bhao. Woof will do, right? Okay, so we have two classes. One is we should go for sarang way, right? Woof woof. So we have two we have meow and we have woof, right? Now let me create a main. We have to create a class which will say this is a class uh, noise, and this class noise will have a method which is public void. This will be public static void show, or not show, this public static void main, which takes a string arguments. And we'll say this is let's not print anything here. So what I want to do now is I have one more class which is house. Okay, and this house has a method which is public void show. Okay, so what this show will do is see, we have four classes now. One is we have cat, we have dog, we have noise, right, and then we have house, right? So in this in one house we can have lots of cats, dogs, we can have parrot, right? We have all those things. But let's say in this show I want to call this method sound. So how can I call sound from house? Anyone? Of course, right, by making an object. So we can simply create object of dog, right? So we can create object of dog here. So we'll say dog obj equal to new. Why obj? Will say dog Tommy, and we'll say new dog, right? And then from this we can say Tommy dot what sound, right? And now how to call this show from main? So in order to call show from main, we can simply create object of house, right? We can say house obj equal to new house, and then we can say obj dot show. Everyone, make this code, the example is making sense, right? If I run this code, we'll be getting woof woof. So in this noise, we are creating the object of house and we are calling show, and show itself calls this sound, right? And sound is calling sound. But now my question is, if I run this code, I want to print meow meow. How can you do that? So for that we have to go to house, and this, instead of creating object of dog, we have to create object of cat, right? So what if instead of creating this object here, what if I pass this object as a parameter? Now, can we pass an object as a parameter? And the answer is yes, we can pass object. So actually we are not passing the object, we are passing the reference, okay? So this Tommy is a reference. But how can you pass this? So in this no-wise, before passing the object of dog, we can say it is dog Tommy equal to new dog, and we can pass Tommy here. Now since we are passing the object Tommy, it goes here, and then we are able to call it, right? Everyone, you're getting what I'm saying? Okay, but still it is still printing dog. I want to it is still printing woof woof, which is for dog, right? I want to print meow. How to do that? So we have to get object of cat. Okay, that's one of the thing. So let's say if I create object of cat now. So if I say cat Tom equal to new cat, and if I pass cat, will that method accept it? It will not accept, right? Because we are catching the object of dog here, right? So here we are. So the problem is, when you pass object of dog, it is working. When you pass object of cat, it's not working. But both the objects have the same method, which is sound, right? So if you have such a scenario where you have two classes which are almost of the same family and they have the same methods, we can achieve something called as abstraction here. Now what I mean by abstraction is we can create a class and we'll name this class as animal, in which you can have a method which is public abstract void what in fact, instead of going for abstract, we can say public void sound. Okay, and we can simply say we can print anything, doesn't matter what the method name is, doesn't matter, I mean what it does. But the thing is, both this cat and dog will extend animal. Okay, now the advantage would be, in this novice, instead of creating a reference of dog, can we create a reference of animal? We can do that, right? Instead of creating the object of dog, we can create a reference of animal, and in house, instead of accepting the reference of dog, we can create a reference of animal. It's just that in we can, this is a very typical example when you go for the advanced part where you have to create a class which accepts the object. So this, I have created this just to have this method which is show example. You get into room and then you can see a dog there, so dog will shout, right? So that's sound. Yeah, we can also pass multiple reference here. We can pass dog reference, we can pass cat reference, but why to do those stuff when you can achieve using abstraction? Just pass one. Okay, so even if you now if you pass Tom, which is a cat, right, this house will accept the object of cat. Okay, let's not name it as Tommy, we can have a common name for Tom and Tommy. We can say Chotu. It doesn't matter, right? Is it a cat or a dog? We can call them as Chotu. And then we can go to novice, and if I run this, we got meow meow because we are passing the object of Tom. And if I pass the object of Tommy, which is a dog, and if I run this, we get woof woof. We don't have to change any extra code. And that's the advantage of using abstraction. So what we are doing is we are abstracting. So we are doing generalization of cat and dog, which is animal, right? Because both are animals. Makes sense, right? See, in this house, I have a method which is show. See, in this house, I have a method which is show, which takes the object of either dog or cat, and it will call a method which is sound, right? So this sound belongs to dog, and this sound belongs to cat. So if you pass the object of cat, you want to print meow meow. If you pass the object of dog, you want to print woof woof. In this scenario, if you are passing the object of dog and the reference is also of dog, then in house you have to create a reference of dog, right? But if you don't want to do that, you can generalize it. Now when you say generalization, it simply means let's say there's a phone called a Samsung S3 which is for humans, right? So a girl and a boy both can use that phone because it is for human. So we are generalizing it. But if you talk about a phone like which phone? I mean, there are some phones which only looks good with boys, and there are phones which only look good with girls, right? Example, if you buy iPhone 6 with a gold color at the back end, that suits more to girls, right? So, or a pinkish this rose gold color, so that suits more for girls. So we are being very specific there. But if we talk about Samsung S3, it is for everyone, right? So we are generalizing it by saying for humans. So that's an abstraction. So we are trying to achieve abstraction here, which is animal. So cat is an animal, dog is an animal, We can create reference of animal and animal. Doesn't matter object, which object you have here, right? And in this house, if you pass the object of dog, it will accept because it is animal here. We can create a reference of superclass. I hope you remember. Yeah, so there's a question from Amit. If I remove this method, will it work? And the answer is no, is because in this house we have this reference of animal which is calling sound, so of course we should have that there. It will not work. But hold on, we are not using this method, right? We are not using this implementation. Then why to even create as implementation? We can remove the implementation and we can make it abstract. We can give a semicolon here. Anyway, because we are not using that method, right? So if you are giving a semicolon, we just have to make it abstract, and we just have to make this class also abstract, right? So that's the concept of abstract classes. We can achieve abstraction using abstract classes. But there is one little problem with abstract classes. Classes, you cannot go for multiple inheritance. So instead of abstract class, we can make this as interface, and we don't require these two methods or two things here. So now in this cat and dog, instead of saying extends, we have to say implements, and even here we have to say implements. Make sense, everyone? So that is the true power of interfaces. So there is one method which takes dog and cat both because they belong to the same interface. Okay, just remember this point because when you go for the collection API, this is very important. Okay, so Amit, any questions? Abstract class will work here, but let's say if you want to go for multiple inheritance, then abstract class will not work, right? Because we cannot achieve multiple inheritance with the help of classes. Yeah, here it would have worked. Interface, we can use abstract class here, but since I just wanted to give the idea about interfaces, that's why we went for interfaces, because it has one extra features compared to abstract class, right? Okay, now everything is working good. We got cat and we got dog, but let's say in future animal got a new feature, because we as human, we are doing lots of we are going insane, right? We are hurting animals now, we are hitting them. So let's say in future we want animals to have a new power, so they should be able to shoot a human, right? So because of that cruelty, yeah, exactly, animal experiment, we are cutting them. So let's say we got a new method in future, so animal can shoot humans. But the problem is, since we should not change the interfaces, right? Because if you change it, it will affect your classes. You have to implement that method also, right? So till Java 1.7, it was not allowed. In fact, it was allowed, but it is not recommended that you should update your interface. So that should not be the case in Java 7. But in Java 8, we can actually define a method. So let's say if we don't want to declare it, we can actually define it. So we can say default. So we can define methods in interface using default keyword, and we can say what? Then human will say ouch. How to write ouch? Ouch, ouch. Right, and then from the house we can, in fact, human are also animals, right? So we'll say shoot. Right now we don't have to implement that method because that's the power of Java 8. We can directly call those methods. We can say out, ouch, ouch, because they are shooting us. Okay, don't imagine the real gun. Imagine the plastic guns. You know, those plastic bullets. And it hurts, when you shoot it from a short distance, it will hurt. Oh, sorry, we just made a spelling mistake here. It should be shoot. Sorry for that. Shoot. Yeah, exactly. So now everything looks good, right? Any questions here, Amit? What are those reactions? Okay. Anyone? Any questions? I know those are emojis. Okay. So Anima is an interface in which you can actually define methods. Yeah. So no questions, right? Why animals means? I didn't get you. Am I writing wrong spellings today? I didn't get your question, Sarang. It's just that animal makes sounds and they can also shoot us in future. So that's why shoot. It's just I wanted to describe this default method. I mean, we can define methods in interface. Okay, so everything seems good, right? So there's no question here, right? So let's go for the next concept, which is array. Okay. So we know the basic concept of array, right? Let me go for a class here. We'll say this class as demo array because we are going for the definition or the basic concept of array. So let's say in this we have a main function which is public static void main, and we'll say this is string arguments. Okay, so you want to see the noise class registry. This is the class. So that's noise. It's no ice. Yeah, that's. Okay. Any questions registry here? Okay. Okay, can you show? Yes, I have covered the topic abstract class and interface both. But the example which is ended here, it was of interface. So let's go for the, so this video will be uploaded on YouTube in 1 hour. Okay, so if you can just, you can again recap the whole session. Okay, so there's no problem with the communication, right? I guess I got a message from Ravi that there's connection lost. Okay, so I'm audible, guys. Okay, so let me just get back to this demo array. So normally how do we create array? So whenever you want to have a collection of elements, we can create an array, right? So we can say int values. Again, there is a problem. Okay, so I'm just talking about the array. Just let me just say syntax for this. So this is how you create an array, right? So let's say if I have 4 elements here, So we can create an int array. We can say int values equal to new int, and we can specify the size of the array, which is 4, right? So we can have 4 elements here. Okay, what about others? Are you facing any problem yet? Okay, so now we can just assign the value. So normally when you talk about array, so just imagine this is block of values. So this is how it looks like. So it starts with a block. We can have 4 values, let's say 4, 3, 6, 4, 5, 6, 2. Okay, so we are just talking about array. So let's say we have these 4 values here. So how to assign these values? There are multiple ways of doing this. The first way is, don't specify the size, directly specify the values. We can give a curly brackets at the end of the square bracket, a curly brackets, and we can specify the value 4, 5, 6, and 2. So that's one way. Okay, so if you are going in this way, if you are creating an array in this way, how to print the values? So we can print the values in such a way like we can use a for loop. In fact, without for loop, we can print the values. So let's say if I just print the values, I'm not printing any element, I'm just saying values, and if I run this, you can see we got something, and this something is in hash code. So whenever you try to, because in Java, arrays are objects, right? So whenever you try to print the object, it will give you hash code. But let's say I don't want to get the hash code, I want to get the value. So we can say values of 0, it will give you 4. If I run this, we got 4. If I say values of 3, it will give us the last element, which is 2, right? So that's how it works. You start with 0 and it ends at it ends at 3. So it is 0, 1, then 2, and then 3, right? Okay. So now once we got these 3 values, once we got the 4 values, let's say I want to print all the values. So we have to write 4 statements, right? One statement will print the 0th element, second will print index of 1, index of 2, index of 3, and it goes on, right? Instead of that, we can use a for loop. So this for loop will start with 0, because normally in array index number start with 0. We'll say I less than equal to 4, less than 4, which is equal to which is less than equal to 3, and I plus plus, and we can give curly brackets there. And instead of 3, we can say I. Okay. Now if I run this code, we'll be getting all the values, right, which is 4, 5, 6, 2. But now what next? So this is one way of providing the elements. The second way is you don't have to even write this stuff. We can directly directly create a reference and assign the values using this array symbol. And if you run this, and we got the output. So this is the second way of doing it. The third way is just specify the size, and you can add the elements later. Now how to add elements later? We can say, we can again assign a for loop, but how was I defined? There's a question from Sarang. This is the I, right? This is I here in for loop. Okay, so let's get back to this. So how to assign values? So we can say values of 0 is equal to 4, and then values of 1 is 5, values of 6 is, and then the list goes on, right? So we can assign values in that way. I think the best way is, once you know the value, I think this is the best way to do it, right? So now let's so this is one way. The second way is using enhanced for loop. The problem is, here we know the values, right? We know the starting point, we know the ending value. Then why to traverse by ourselves? What we can do is, we can just comment this section. I don't like this. Okay, Ravi, are you serious? You want to answer this? You want me to answer this question? Why this index number starts with 0? Okay. Okay, it's just we want to secure the number of bits required to represent a number. So array starts with 0 because the computer addressing starts with 0. So the basics of computers, the addressing starts with 0. Now why they start with 0? Because to represent any number, if you start with 0, it may need one less it may need one bit less. Example, if you want to represent a number, if you want to represent 8 numbers, and if you start with 1, the number on the 8th element, which will be 8, right, which is 1,000, so it will occupy 4 bits. Instead of that, if you start with 0, your number will end at 7, so that will be only 3 bits. So you're saving one extra bit. Okay. So now let me just create, so array creation done. What next? So let's say what next we can do here is we can use enhanced for loop to print this. So how to use enhanced for loop? We can say for loop, and we can say int I mean, let's say not I, let's say int number num colon values. The advantage will be from this values, which is an array, one value will come out and it will store in num. So initially 4 will come out and it will store inside num, then 5 will come out and it will store inside num, and then once you got those values, you can just print it. So when you are getting the value, just keep printing it, and if you run this, we got the same output, right? So if you can see the difference, in this you are counting the values, here you are not counting the values, you are just fetching the values, and then since the value is coming out, you are just printing it. So that's the advantage of using enhanced for loop. Okay. Okay, that's good. Yes, using enhanced for loop, we can print all the elements. That's the only drawback. You cannot print specific values. Okay, so that's your enhanced for loop. What next? Okay, just hold on. Uh, 2D array. Yeah, so let's talk about 2D array now. So in this 2D array, let's say we have two arrays, one with one array, then second array. So instead of that, we can have both the arrays in one big array. So what we can do is we can specify the two brackets there, and that's an array, right? So we can enclose in one more bracket, and we can give a comma, and we can have more values. We can say 6 comma 3 comma 4 comma 6, right? And then so this is your two-dimensional array. Okay, so let's print these values. How would you print it? Let me just add one more array. It's free, right? We can have multiple arrays here. Now how to print? Because if you use enhanced for loop here, you will get one array at a time. So this is one element. See, for this array, so for the internal array, 4 is an element, right? 5 is the element, 6 is the element. For this array, 4 is the element, I mean 6, 3, 4, 6 is the element. And for this array, 7, 4, 3, 2 is the element, right? But for the outer array, one internal array is an element. So for the outer array, we have 3 elements. One element, second element, I mean this second element, and this is the third element. So once you will get the whole array, and then we can use one more for loop to fetch the values from that particular array. We can say for int, we can say n colon nums, because we are fetching the values from the array, and then we can just print m here, but that's not nums but num. So that's how we use two-dimensional array. We got all the values, but they are printing as a new line, right? We can actually print that in a tabular format. If you remove /n here, I mean the new line, and you provide the new line there, you can say we got in a tabular format. Then we can also have jagged arrays. So if you remove this 3 here, So this is jagged array, right? Because the number of rows are fixed, but column is keep changing. So that's jagged array. So in the first array we have 4 elements, in the second array we just have 3 elements. So the number of elements are not fixed. So that's why it is called as jagged array. Okay. Okay. Now what next? So we talked about jagged array. What next we can do here is, okay, let me go for a question. Let me remove this stuff. Let's say I have a class called as student. So let me create a class called as student. And in this class student, we have 2 variables. One is roll number, and one we have is name. So that's as name. And in this, I want to create one student object. So what to do? So we have to say student s equal to new student, right? So that's how we create object. Yes or no? Right? Now let's say I don't want one student, I want 4 students. So what do we have to do? So we have to create 4 objects, right? We have to say s1, then we have to say s2, s3, s4. So that would be a mobile series, right? So instead of creating 4 objects, can we have an array of students? I mean, can we have array of objects? Let's try. So we can say this is students s, and instead of giving a round bracket, we can provide a square bracket. So we have to say this is not a normal object, this is an array, and the array is of 4 elements. Okay. So can I access the first student? So can I say s of 0 dot roll number is equal to 7? Will it work? If I run this code, will it work? Okay, let's try. So people are saying yes, and the answer is no. We got null pointer exception. The problem is this array here, this is not the object, this is not the array of object, this is the array of references. We have not created the object yet, because we can create the object only, what was that? We can create the object only with the constructor, right? And where is the constructor? So what we have to do is, so before using the object, we have to say s of 0 equal to new student. So we have to create all these objects. So we have to say s of 1 equal to student, and same goes for s3 and s2 and s3. Now we got actually 4 students. So whenever you create the array of objects, I mean the array of references, you have to provide the objects here. Okay. Okay, so now if I run this, it will work. It will accept the value. It will not print because there's no other way. We have to do in that way only. So we can say s of 0 dot roll number, and now if we run this, we got the value as 7. Simple. Now this is one way. There is one more way. I don't know if it will work. We can provide the dynamic array. We can say new student. So the first object is new student, the second object is new student, and the third object is new student. So that's one way you can do. Okay, we got 3 objects. This is like providing the values. Imagine this is one value, this is second value. Okay, so if you want to go for 100 objects, that's very easy. You can take a for loop. You can start with 0, I less than 100 and I plus plus. So we can say s of I equal to new student, and we got 100 objects here. And if you print the length of this array, how to print the length? We can say s dot length. We just have to provide the size, that's 100, and run. We actually got 100 objects there. No, we cannot do s dot add because s is an array, it's not a collection yet. So when you go for collection, we can go for add. Amit, this is for you. Okay, so yeah, that's it. Patterns we'll do next time. That's it, I guess. So I've talked about interfaces, abstract class, and array. So that's it. We'll stop it here itself. That's 1 hour session. So I'll be uploading this video in half an hour, maybe. So if you want to recap, not yet. I have not bought the Geo phone yet. I'm just using my home's internet. Yep. That's it then. See you guys.